throughout this day, now having the opportunity to come to the palace to actually see the royal couple emerge out onto the balcony. We're very lucky to...
The word obey in the marriage vows, why did you do that?
Interesting question. That's a question that we've been discussing, and it was Sarah's choice. And I think really that Sarah wanted it in.
Well, since he's going to be worshipping, and I'm obeying, because he obviously, he doesn't say obey too, he worships, when it comes round to the same point of view. I chose to obey deliberately because at one stage or another, if in a question of a dilemma or a situation, there will always be someone who has to make the final decision. Therefore, at one stage now, you are going to, at some stage, going to obey your husband. But I think, let the man take the final decision. Therefore, that is another example of obeying.
So it's not just a spiritual or moral obey, it is a physical obey as well.
It's very interesting, yes. It's
I think it's more moral than physical. I mean, the straight obey, as we see it today, I don't think, I personally haven't read it as me, the man, laying down the law.
No,
certainly not. Certainly not. I would never lay the law down.
No, but I'm just looking for a lead on when there really is a dilemma or really is a major decision, then I will say, yes, there is a physical obey. When it is normal, it will be very much a moral obey in my mind.
But in the context of your role as a wife, I mean, you're not the person to obey meekly, are you?
No, absolutely not. Far from it. Therefore, that's exactly why it won't be a physical obey all the time.
Since you announced your engagement, you seem to have had endless public occasions. I think the public, one way or another, has seen you practically every day. Has that been, Sarah, much more of a strain than you might have imagined?
No, actually, it is a lot of hard work, and I do get very tired. But I love every moment of it, and I find it very easy to do, with him on my right.
Yes, I don't think that we've been seen every day.
Sometimes it seems
we have done quite a lot, actually.
We've done it quite a lot in the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks, because after we got engaged, I went to Greenwich. So I was working quite hard doing the Lieutenant's Greenwich course at Greenwich. So I did 8 weeks there. And it's only since that has finished that I have come out of the Navy, if you see what I mean, in preparation for the wedding. And the gap was always there. So these engagements have been purely fitted in with the gap in the programme that was already there. And it is lovely that we got engaged, and Sarah's been able to join me on these engagements.
And it's also been marvellous, as you say, that you patently enjoy it and you've taken to it with such great ease. Do you never find it exhausting being endlessly nice to people, some of whom must sometimes?
Yes, absolutely. Well, actually, what I do is very interesting, but there are times when I wake up in the morning, I think, heavens, how am I going to get through it? I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. With my feet up and shoes go in the dustbin because I can't bother to put you on. But then I think to myself, well, hold on a minute, and I go out, and people are so kind and so nice, and they welcome you so much, that then you think, well, you know, it really is worth it, and off you go for the rest of the day, because they are tonic. They really make you feel good.
So you don't think the novelty is going to wear off?
Not at all. Far from it. I love it.
Sarah, can I ask you, it wasn't that long ago that you could go anywhere, do anything. You could go into a restaurant, a shop, you could walk in the park, and nobody recognized you. You were complete bachelor freedom. Do you think you're going to miss that freedom?
Not at all, because being 26, I know what it's like, and I know the ups and the downs of really hard work and getting around and really making ends meet and getting on with it. And I love it. I enjoy working sort of my new life.
I think it's perfectly honest to say that having seen Sarah's diary and seen what she did beforehand, I couldn't keep up that pace. Not me, I couldn't. Not with the amount of stuff that she did. It was unbelievable.
But the freedom not to be recognized if you walk into a shop, for example.
Well, actually, you can get hair appointments a lot easier now, and cook restaurants, and I love it. I enjoy it.
Is there some way, even now, you can get away without being recognized when you go around London or anywhere else?
Haven't tried it yet, have you, really?
Oh, yes.
Have you?
Yes, now I
walk.
Well, I walk down the street occasionally, and I'm not and sometimes I'm not recognised. But then you get the odd sort of double take.
Had to the other day, didn't she, because of the garden party. Couldn't get in or out, so nipped out the side door and down the street.
You're an old hand, as we said, at all these public engagements.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm not an old hand.
Figuratively speaking, how do you think Sarah has coped with that news side of her life?
Brilliantly.
Thank you.
She's got a very good grounding anyway in being able to talk to people in the jobs that she's done previously. And I think that has probably helped her a great deal.
Do you think you've learnt more about her since the engagement?
Oh, yes. I mean, one goes on learning about one's, I suppose, wife, as long as you live, and there's always something new, and she will learn something about me.
Yes.
It just goes on.
There is, of course, a darker side to being in the limelight, and I think in some ways so you suffered from that because you were open to personal criticism, and the press have talked about, I don't know, what you wear, or whether you're on a diet, your shape, your weight. How much does that hurt?
Very interesting. To begin with, I sort of made the dreadful mistake of really taking in what they wrote and reading it. I now don't read it. There is no point in reading it. What's printed you can't worry about because it's been print.
Jolly difficult not to, though.
You know, it's quite easy when you put your mind on it. You don't want to read nasty things about yourself. And if it's nice, well, then you miss out. But anyway, it doesn't bother me anymore.
But it did in the beginning.
Well, I certainly made the mistake of reading it, then I stopped myself. But I also don't really want to change at all. I'm quite happy with my own figure, quite happy with myself, so I'm really not going to listen to it anyway.
So you haven't been on a diet in the last few months?
Absolutely not.
And if you hear, I know you don't read it, but if you hear that somebody or a group of people have said they don't like a particular dress you wear, would you make a point of not wearing that dress again?
I will wear it again because, you know, I've been to dressmakers, I liked it, and I've paid the bill, and I will wear it again if they don't. Well, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Do you feel cross, sir, when you must hear about it if you don't read it?
Yes, because I think that you can be so hidebound by fashion editors and fashion critics that you end up tying yourself in knots and just really becoming paranoid about it. And my advice to Sarah has been just stick with it and stay and dress how you want to dress, not how everybody else wants to see you. Dress practically for the day, practically for the evening, whatever. And Sarah agreed and said that is entirely the way that she intended to do it. And I said fine. And I think that until people realise that there isn't a bottomless pit of money, one can't go out and buy from the best dressed designers day in, day out, that they're just going to have to accept the fact.
But the message basically is you're just your own person.
I
and
am
you're
me.
going to...
We are our own persons, both of us.
Yes, and he's been tremendous help to me as well. I mean, he's certainly, you know, when I say, nah, or whinging or something, he gets the old rod out and says, don't be so stupid, you're perfectly right as you are.
Never. All the old stuff. Oh.
But, you know, he's wonderful. He goes out there and sort of says, right, we'll have that, and we won't have that, and we'll have that. In fact, actually becoming rather bossy.
Has he made any mistakes?
No, he's quite good. Actually, if I go on praising him, you'll get a big head.
I can't think, I don't think I know.
We can't really leave clothes without asking you about the wedding dress, which you're not going to tell us about.
No, why ask?
Is it lovely?
I don't know anything about the wedding
Well,
dress.
so
You're not
you
supposed
would.
to.
Well, I know. Why should you know anything about it in that case?
I just want to know...
Well, all I can tell you is that, all I will tell you, and can tell you, just to whet your appetite, it is that I don't think there will never be a dress to match it.
Ooh, fighting talk.
And, and you've tried it on, and I'm sure you've had it fitted lots of times. I mean,
Well, it's not actually finished at the moment.
does it feel beautiful?
It is incredible. I put it on, and even looking disgusting with my hair tied back, and really, it still looks great. So
You're going to feel good.
I'm feeling good. Yeah, very good.
Talking about your hair tied back, can we just talk for a moment about your temperament? You have this dramatic, vivid red hair that usually denotes
A
fiery
point of
temperament.
order there.
A point of order, sir?
Yes, it's Titian.
Titian.
It does change with the weather. Sorry.
It's very interesting. I thought it was red, and I was wrong. It changes colour. It isn't always red. There are streaks of blonde in it, and it's not streaked.
Right.
It is Titian. It's a very interesting
Not
colour.
one pot of dye has been near it.
Does the temperament change colour? Do you have a fiery temperament?
I'm, as you say, I
pass.
will not meekly follow behind. But I do not have a temper, because Mum beat that out of me when I was about 4. I do not have a temper. I am quite opinionated, and I don't like things, I like to know what's going on.
Do you sometimes say things first and then think afterwards?
I used to. I'm getting better at not doing that.
Does it get you into trouble, or has it in the past?
It has in the past, it doesn't now. I now use the grey matter between my ears, which I hope, no, something there, isn't there?
Mm.
You're both blessed with a sense of humour. Do fits of the giggle sometimes cause you problems?
Not yet.
It does when the door's closed, but not...
Not on public occasions.
No, we have actually reduced ourselves in private to complete stitches through doing nothing actually very funny.
Lying around the sofa.
Yes, chasing each other around the sofa. I mean, stupid things like that. But for some, I don't know why. I mean, silly things like that. But no, we've not had a fit of the giggles yet.
Do you think that both of you perhaps have got a role to play in the future in helping the younger generation, particularly with all the problems that face them today?
Oh, yes, well, certainly may I speak from my point of view, that at least having been outside and worked hard and really had to work to find out where the next penny was going to come from, you know, I certainly can relate to going out, worrying about getting a job, sitting through an interview, doing it and managing it, and finding a place to live. I never had my own flat. I always rented rooms. I know the pitfalls.
And you do have this power to make people sit up and take notice.
Yes, but it's got to be used very, very sparingly. And there is a time and a place for it. I don't think that it's my place necessarily to say anything or do anything. Of course I will help in any way I can, the youth and whatever, but there is going to come a stage where I can only preach. I can't act because I'm beyond being in youth. I've held the job down in terms of being in the Navy and doing, as it were, an honest day's work. But I haven't had the experience or the traumatic experience of having to rent, buy, and look for the pennies, if you see what I mean. I've been protected from that to a large degree, so that I'm not particularly good at, and that there comes a point where the preaching and the doing won't meet.
That's where we can sort of help each...
And work together.
Yes, work together.
And how about your style? You don't suffer fools gladly.
No, I don't think I have a style, do I?
No, he doesn't suffer fools gladly.
No, I don't think I have a style. Perhaps it's my own.
For a man who professes an uncertainty about his style, the Prince cuts a confident naval dash, utterly at home at the officers' mess cocktail party. On this night, though, it was different. He brought his bride-to-be to her first ladies' night. They'd flown in that evening from their trip to Northern Ireland.
But it was very good over there. We didn't see any trouble. It was very peaceful and quiet. An awful lot of talking though for 2 days. It's really nice to be here.
Do you remember me? Probably not. No, I do actually. But when and where? Thames joined 1979 in September actually. Home division. Ah. Yeah. We're in the same. I was in the same dormitory, yeah. I was about to say we were in the same dormitory. Yes, I was. What was his name again? Mark Phillips. See? Yes. Remember like a sieve. No, not at all. I'm not going to get a name like that. So what have you been doing? I've been working while living at sea. Which is...
Well, I mean, you know, I know exactly what's going to be. Alexander will be going off somewhere soon.
But is he at Portland still?
At the moment, he's been going off in September to Yeovil.
What's he doing now?
815.
815.
Does that make any sense?
Sort
no.
of, yeah.
Oh no, he's doing the HY course or helicopter something instructors course or something.
What's this about learning to fly?
Yes, well,
It's not a surprise at all.
I'm hoping to fly at some stage.
Why do you want to do
In the
that?
very near future. I want to do that, A, for a sense of achievement, B, because it is his career, it is what he loves. I want to be able to sit down at dinner with him and discuss what he does and what he's done in the day. And it's very, very important to me that I know how to fly an aircraft so I can talk about it. And also, I want to do it myself.
And that meets with your approval.
Absolutely. There's a lot of very technical jargon, and I don't really talk about it at home, flying, because it is so technical. My younger brother does various things with knives and forks and generally disapproves every time I speak about it, and so does the rest of the family. But so I just don't. And Sarah has shown such an interest in my flying that I think that the fact that she wants to learn is wonderful.
It really is his life. So therefore, if it is his life, make sure you know about his life. Otherwise, what kind of team are you? It's very important.
CO. Five.
My primary job is the Navy. Royal duties fit in with the Navy. And that is the way that I intend to play it from now on, the way I've been playing it in the past. If I am under training, I am doing a course which requires my attention, then I won't do any jobs. I won't do any royal functions.
Okay, any questions, please? Come on.
The Portland Naval Base, where the Prince is getting in some GFP, General Flying Practice. In 1979, he signed up for 12 years in the Navy. He's halfway through now, and if he wants to command his own ship, like his father and elder brother before him, he'll have to broaden his naval training. But for the moment, his first love is flying helicopters, a skill which, as Commander Rory McLean describes, requires a particular kind of chap.
All naval aviators are actually officers, and the sort of qualities we're looking for are those required of an officer, and those are very much akin to the qualities required of a management trainee just about to go into training for a big company, same sort of things. But on top of that, you've got to have a high degree of coordination and a degree of natural ability. And I think also you need to have a well-developed sense of common sense and a quick mind. Because you've got to bear in mind what we're trying to do, not just fly the aircraft, but also fight it and operate it in many different environments, particularly in bad weather. I think Prince Andrew has got a degree of natural ability, and he's certainly been through very intensive training that we put people through, and on his own merits has come out as a good pilot.
Does it worry you at all, the element of risk involved in this job? I mean, you obviously, sir, saw active service, as we know, in the Falklands, and now he's doing the warfare instructors course.
It's firmly feet on the ground, actually.
Also, I think
It sounds terribly dangerous.
Also, no, I think there's a risk in everything. Everything's a risk, and I'm very proud of him. I think he does a wonderful job, and I've been watching him fly the odd thing and been around, and that really makes I'm really proud of my boy.